Hi, my name is DJ Buzzy. Hi, my name is DJ Buzzy.
Buzzy. Huh? What? You want me to start this week, yeah? Alright, you want me to what? Give a little intro and a synopsis of what's happening. Alright, I'll give it a go then. Right, let's talk about what the fuck is happening right here. My name is Bosworth. I'm a genie from back when. Well, back when it was a long time ago. Think sort of far back and then double it, maybe triple it. That was when I arrived on this planet. I don't rightly know, to be honest. I retired a few years ago. It's not something that most genies get to do. You know, I'm supposed to be, forever trying to get a soul and become mortal. But after tens of thousands of years of trying, you just want to wrap it in and get yourself a little pub in the country. We're a bit like the professional footballers of the 80s in that manner. Lucky for me, I could do that sort of stuff. Well, I can't do wishes for me, but I can steer others to do the wishing for me. You see, I found a grey area that was very grey, and all that playing in the grey, you have to colour yourself a little bit. It's a kind of rule of mine. So I got together a group of fae who fancied a settled life in their own little plane of existence, and then I made it for them, and for me, to be honest. And there it was, the little town of Phaeton. Welcome to Phaeton, the town sign says. Town motto, where every fairy knows your name. It's complicated to explain, but in order to trudge through the bullshit and not have to do too much explaining because you've got your own brains, and if you need explanations, the ones you make up are just as good as what really sort of happened. In fact, they're probably better than the premises this shoddy writer is using. The thing that is happening here in Phaeton is the Gameshow. To give it its full title, it's called
the Gameshow, because demons are not that imaginative.
Yeah, demons are as thick as chilled pig shit. I say chilled because although pig shit is not excessively thick at its creation, when brought down to the correct temperature, it's pretty thick. You need a spoon. No, I don't eat it. It's a bit of a delicacy for some fair folk who frequent my bar. No wonder I needed to build my own reality. Can you imagine trying to get that through Elfborn on physical plane? What would you need to be able to do to be able to serve fresh virgin blood and pig poo on the same menu? Sorry, I digress. Anyway, to cut a long story to a medium-ish one, this Phaeton is an ungodly realm. Well, that ain't true really. There are lots of odds and sods of old gods here. Mainly the ones that have gone out of favour and drank away their sorrows, where maybe someone remembers a name, but it was an ungodly place for the big ones, the famous ones. It's like, like Abrahamic religions, they tended to be a little more about setting themselves aside from supernatural work and world as though they were better than all of us, which at this point I suppose they were. But they'd started off small like all the rest, and it'll end up a distant memory in a few thousand years. So this was an ungodly realm for, those gods, I suppose. The gods that were hip at the moment. Right, I need to summarise this shit pretty quick, don't I? Otherwise I'm going to run out of words. Satan wanted Will and the Professor to be friends again. No idea why. Don't give a fuck why, to be frank. Why do they say to be frank? It's weird, that, isn't it? Anyway, she, Satan, had come to me to bring the two bastards together at a time and a place of her want. For this, she'd given me one of the stolen dice of fate. This effectively gave me a wish that I could spend on myself. So I wasn't, going to bollocks this up. I was going to do a good job, if that's possible. Working for devil, for Beelzebub, can you do a good job for Satan? That would be an interesting chat with Nietzsche about this at some point. Yeah, he's here. Yeah, he's still got a moustache. Lucy wanted them to be on Garment Show. Lucifer, that is. Yeah, Lucy. Anyway, I could do that. That was easy. And then bloody Gabriel, the angelic spanner, put a spanner in the devil's work by banning the game show from the planes his dad was warding over. He can be a proper dick when he wants to be, that Gabriel. This was a bit of a pisser at the time because the government often had the
the Gameshow, because demons are not that imaginative.
in hell, because that is where he got his greatest audience, in the damned souls that live there, in that damned realm full of Damned souls and demons. Everyone down there got to take a break on Saturday late afternoon to watch.
It's called the Game Show because demons are not that imaginative.
You need some tea time family fun sometimes, even in hell. Or was it more torture? I'm not sure. So she had nowhere to do it.
It's called the Game Show because demons are not that imaginative.
I mean, she had nowhere to get them together in the...
It's called the Game Show because demons are not that imaginative.
So she decided to have the...
It's called the Game Show because demons are not that imaginative.
In Phaeton, my realm, where the one true God wasn't welcome. No, that's not true. It's not that he's not welcome. He probably doesn't even know that we exist. Well, I fucking hope not. Fuck, he might notice. Something I yet to consider. But fuck it, let's do the...
It's called the Game Show because demons are not that imaginative.
And hang the consequences. What's he got to do? Kill me? I'd sort of been a bit, sneaky actually. In addition to the die of fate, there was one more agreement that the devil had to give. Oh, on my ginny gin, what was that, you may ask?
Hi, my name is. DJ Buzzy. Hi.
It was that DJ Bozzy would be on the deck, spinning those wheels of steel, sending out the bangers, Raise It Roof being the master blaster of sonic disaster. Yeah, I think you get it. So let me set scene. The room is gigantic. It's like a gigantic hall that I've built with my mind after seeing Carmen in '87 at the Albert Hall. Yes, we're having Gameshow in Albert Hall. Audience is huge, so we can do that. And I sort of remember it from 1987-ish, so I've done my best. The audience is massive, and full of fair demons and others. I would explain it to others, but there are a motley crew of monsters and creatures you may never want to think would be under your bed or in your closet, although most of these creatures stay in the closet as they never define their sexuality because, hopefully, looking at them, they don't have one. Keeping the crowd baying or at bay, whichever you choose, was a herd of fresh succubi, leather-clad lolitas with whips. Actually, my ex-Jenny was one of them, and I did my damnedest not to make sort of hooded robe contact with her. I can't make eye contact. I don't have eyes, you see. Eyes, you see. Get it? Sorry. The camera operators were not camera operators. They were part of camera, part organic, green, scaly things. Eyes instead of lenses. Very not good to look at if you enjoyed your breakfast staying in your belly, so I didn't. And there he was on stage, the garment in his human form, the the handsome Noel Edmonds. I was bloody starstruck for a moment. Well, who wouldn't be? Well, okay, this is new. What the bright lights blind me. I can hear an audience, but it's taking a while to get myself back to being able to see. The sound fades from a kind of mighty crescendo, and someone announces that this is a game show or game show. A what?
It's called the Game Show because demons are not that imaginative.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have two of the worst monsters that have ever existed. Number one is the night of the fight, the Jeffrey Dahmer, a wearing armour, the gentleman who is a mentalman, Professor Simon D. Montfort.
Cut!
Shouted Noel. In deference to what the Noel actually was, the garment, the crowd fell into silence.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, there's no need for that. Guys in VT, gallery, can we cut that bit out, please?
He said. He raised a hand to an ear and received some sort of feedback from the directors, producers and seducers. Noel sort of crimped his eyes as if struggling to listen to what was being said. He looked up at windows above the audience where the directors lived.
Oh, hang on a minute. I'm getting something through from the gallery here.
He made a concerned smile.
Oh, really? Uh-huh. Yup. Okay. After some information from the gallery, it turns out he really deserves it, so... Let's get back to it! Run VT!
The booze resumed. I looked around and we were on some kind of set. A game show set. The colours were migraine-inducing and discombobulating. Strange mixes of reds, purples and blues. The floor is a shiny black and there are like 4 half camera, half creature things around us that are focusing on us, but I don't really want to focus on them. Oof. The creatures of the audience and the crew are a mix of whatever. I imagine that this is a sample of the whole of the supernatural pantheon of beings. Some I recognise because I've been lucky enough to meet them and sometimes eat them and, beat them. Some could be whatever they could be. I won't go into great descriptions. Use your imagination to think about what I see. Yeah, I know, lazy narration, but I would be here for a few episodes trying to describe these fucking things. Noel Edmonds is standing in front of me. I couldn't see his face, but there was no way that I could not recognise that coifed hair and that voice. I was brought up on Noel Edmonds from the swap shop of my youth to Noel's house party. That was sort of when I was older, to Deal or No Deal. He's been a massive part of my nostalgic past. And then I turned to my right, and there he fucking was. The fucking professor on a fucking giant gold sparkly fucking throne. Above his head was his name and the bloody title. Professor Simon de Montfort, the genius behind the genocides. I leapt from a seat and ran at the professor. I was thrown back into my seat by an invisible force that felt like it nailed me there through the chest. The crowd went wild. I struggled looking around the room for what or who was doing this. In the corner, hidden slightly in the shadows, was a golem-like figure. It giggled and then revealed itself. It was Paul fucking Daniels. No, it's not Paul fucking Daniels. Fucking isn't his middle name, it's just Paul Daniels, Jesus. Who is Paul Daniels? I'm sure we've explained this. Well, he's another stalwart of weekend peak time TV in the 80s. He was a magician who had been on a mission for a long time. Yeah, bought his wife. It's quite interesting.
Now then, you'll like this, but not a lot. You won't like this.
He said as he pinned me to my seat by what seemed to be like mind bullets or something. The little magician made eye contact with me and waved a giant wand. Actually, it was a normal sized wand, but it looked huge in his tiny magician's hand.
You won't like this a lot. Not at all, you won't like it. Married me for my money, Debbie. Now that's tragic,
he said. He had mesmerised me for a moment, and then my interest returned to the show. The professor was smiling at me, the bastard. A little laugh passed his lips as he shrugged and winked. He was trying to wind me up, and it worked. I squirmed like a squirmy thing, sorry, that's a good description, isn't it? As I tried to get out of the seat to get out of the chair and rip his fucking head off. I'm going to kill you again and again, you fucking... The crowd going wild at this. Well, wilder. I paused looking at the thing with a headset and a clipboard and started addressing it. It had 20 eyes and 2 mouths, but it must be this floor manager. Why do you keep beeping out my swear words? No, why am I beeping out my swear words? Why can't I say or What have you done to my swearing ability? What happened to a man's right to free speech? These questions were all ignored by the many-eyed creature. The professor at this point was laughing. The audience was laughing. Noel and I were not laughing. Noel had turned towards me and his eyes flashed into... Oh shit. No, I'm not describing it to you. I've oh shit, I've been through and enjoyed some horrific in my life, but it made my lower bowel question its need to be full of. I don't often shut up in fear, but I did. And the fucking professor laughed.
The professor. Well, this was utterly befuddling. I was sat in a TV studio on a giant golden throne. This must be the Gormant's Gameshow. I'd heard of it, but not seen it. It was the most watched TV program across the plains, with the souls and soulless of hell and the supernatural planes being the main audience. As my eyes settled on being able to make stuff out after the blinding lights of the opening credits, there he was, the mighty Gormant himself, Mr. Noel Edmonds. Oh, that beard and hair were built and manicured to perfection. I looked to my left, and there was Will. He was bloody angry. No wonder he was. He was sat there in a Stone Island jacket and dirty grey jogging bottoms. Bare feet. Not like Will at all. This was hell. For Will, this was utter hell.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have two of the worst monsters that have ever existed,
said the announcer. I recognised his voice too. It was Bosworth. It was bloody Bosworth.
Number one is the night of the fight, the Jeffrey Dahmer, a wearing armour, the gentleman who is a mentalman, Professor Simon D. Montfort.
Cut, cut, cut! Shouted Noel Edmonds. And in deference to what he was, the crowd fell into complete silence. He raised a hand to an ear as he received instructions from whoever was running this thing. Noel Edmonds tried to focus on what was being said. Oh, hang on a minute. I'm getting something through from the gallery here. Oh, really? Uh-huh. Yup. Okay. He made a concerned smile, something he'd been practicing for decades. He was a master of his craft, and it was simply exquisite to witness firsthand. After some information from the gallery, it turns out he really deserves it, so let's get back to it! Run, VT! The booing and catcalling resumed. Naturally, Will had just about got himself together. I could see that he'd recognised Noel Edmonds. Well, who wouldn't? Am I right? Suddenly, and without warning, a quizzical look came across his too handsome brow. He leapt from his beautiful, sparkly throne and got halfway across the stage. He was trying to transform, but he could not. And he was coming at me. He was going to kill me. Again. Here it comes. I smiled at him. No point cowering or fighting him off. So this might hurt, but I would look him in the eye as he committed this murder on live, or, dead. On the telly. Reached for me, but was somehow yanked across the stage and slammed back into the throne he'd come from. Only then did I notice his name above the throne. And a title. Will Werewolfson. The wolf who is worse than a world war. This made me laugh, and Will noticed that. Can't say he liked it. He went utterly insane in his chair, pinned there like a moth in Ernest's Lepidoptera collection. I winked at him and tried to placate him with a shrug and my body language, but I think it made things worse as he spewed out as many swear words. No, not swear words. King stupid beeps. He turned his focus from me as he tried to look at his own mouth when it beeped. The beeps must have pissed him off as he was now directing his wrath at a higher demon of Belzath who looked like a stage manager. It would be interesting to see how it reacted to his verbal attack. Well, it didn't, actually, as it turned out. But Noel turned to him. You know I'm not one for swearing, but I've got no idea what happened. But the will shut the up and sat in a silence at Noel's look. The crowd were made silent by the lash of the whips that the succubi surrounding them gave. Some shut up from pain, obviously, but I think others were busy enjoying more pleasure-filled experiences. I'm not really a leather in pain kind of a guy myself, but I never judge. Actually, that's a lie. The announcer now finally introduced the wolf. Noel's eyes were directed at the wolf, staring straight at poor Will.
Our second contestant is the Wolf of Laissez-Faire, the non-stop killer thriller, and here for your simple abusement. Will, the Wolf, the Beast,
rang out over the cheers of the crowd. They started cheering all the more. But I had a weird moment when I thought this was strange, but then I realised all the things in the audience were cheering and clapping for him. He was the hero. The hero. Probably for the first time in his miserable, vicious existence.
Bozzy. I had introduced 2 contestants, and there had been a moment when Will had tried to get at Professor. It had only been a moment, though, as the mighty sorcerer Paul Daniels had slammed him back in his seat. I could tell Will did not like it. Not a lot, as the Daniels may say. Then after some introductions to audience, it was time for first round. If you've not seen...
It's called the Gameshow, because demons are not that imaginative.
And basically there's a simple system. It has to be simple. Have you ever spoken to a lesser demon? Not brightest sparking firmament, I'm afraid. And then on rolled the wheel of judgment. This is one of them upright wheels with numbers and categories on it. You spin wheel and it slows down to stop, with the finger of one of the damn ones pointing at the category chosen. You see, simple. Even a creature with an IQ of a slug could get that concept. Some demons did not get it because they were a bit too thick, but they liked the pretty coloured spinning thing. The audience gave them ooh as the wheel was positioned in centre of stage.
The Wheel of Judgment. Yes,
said Noel as he waved his arm in its direction. It started to flash and iridesce. It was right lovely and a bit hypnotic, which was a worry. I finished the wheel introduction theme and sat back waiting for the fun to begin.
On this wheel are the categories for our 2 baddies.
Boo came from the audience, and Noel had to get the succubi to whip the crowd out of their frenzy.
The wheel has categories on it to help you find out which of our 2 baddie contestants is the biggest bastard of them all.
Signs were lifted by the she-demons with whips, and those that could read clapped in crowd, while those that could not copied the peers before they lost an eye to a succubi's iron-tipped whip.
Let's introduce the flower with the power, the lady who will expose the shady. It's the beautiful Miss Debby Maghee. Yeah.
There she goes. That's my wife. That's Debby Maghee. 35 years, my glamorous assistant, but married me for my money. I'm not bitter. It's tragic.
Debby Maghee, the famous magician assistant of the mighty Paul Daniels, walked on stage looking fabulous as she always did. The crowd went wild, and a crowd like this going wild is a thing to see. There's like frothing at the mouth. And then there was frothy bits, and there was general, let's just say, frothing, which was soon battered out of them by leather-clad demonic ladies who put down their whips and were now using cattle prods to settle the crowd. Noel was waving at crowd to calm down, but even hard work at ultra-nasty women was having little effect. For a flash, the Gorman became his authentic self, a gigantic black fire-clad monster. He was suddenly filling all and bent double. Black wings were tight to his back. A bovine head with horns and eyes of fire stared at audience for 1 millisecond. Instant silence, apart from the sounds of one little embarrassed demon who was whittling himself with fear at front of crowd. Then Noel once more stood, his coiffured self at the centre of stage.
You guys know how this works. Members of the audience have put their names down, or at least a sort of squiggle, for volunteering to spin the Wheel of Judgment. If they pick the category that proves which of these two evil sods is the biggest bastard, they're gonna win this.
A petition went back and beautiful Debby Maghee was already presenting the used and abused dartboard with 2.5 darts. That was the prize, and I announced it.
So let's have a look at some of the categories on this crazy Wheel of Judgment,
said Noel.
Out of the 12 categories, we have 2 that are just for our victims. Oh, did I say victims again? I've done it again, haven't I? Oh, I don't mean victims. I mean volunteers from the audience. Get me. Those categories, should they choose them, would mean instant destruction.
The crowd oohed.
Other categories on the board are, well, let's head over to Bozzy for the other categories. Bozzy, it's over to you. Run VT.
The wheel span and landed on. This evening, ladies and gentlemen, we could hit the best fight category if you're lucky tonight. This category tells us which one of these gentlemen has had the most kills in one fight. Good or bad, I will let you decide. The wheel was spun again and the clicking finger stopped. Sent to hell. This category counts number of souls the contestants are sent to hell. Should they feel guilty? Hell knows. The wheel was spun again. Oh, this one is one of my favourites. One of the favourites of the show. The sin bin. How much sin has our contestant been in? Back over to Noel. The audience clapped and cheered.
Okay. Let's choose our volunteer to commit the fear of the demons we have here,
said Noel. Debbie flashed in a shitty magician smoke next to Noel holding a top hat.
So the names of those wanting to try or die have been added to the hat.
He reached into the depths of that hat and rummaged around much deeper than the hat looked deep. Eventually he pulled a slightly singed piece of parchment from the hat and put on some reading glasses to read the note. It was a right nice touch.
Graskel Duforka, the 3rd level demon of sludge. Come on down!
Graskel stood up in the crowd. Well, standing up would be wrong because he was a pile of fecal matter with 3 mouths, 13 eyes and 1 arm. Made of that, make of that what you will, but he was made of, you get the idea. You don't have, it's hard to process the aroma around him, let's say that. 2 succubi holding their noses escorted him down to the stage as the crowd went wild. The little demon was smiling from all his orifices. As he reached Noel, succubi bowed to Noel and waved to the audience.
Thank you, Sandra, and thank you, Ada. Oh, lovely girls there. Thank you, girls. Remember the hot tub in my lava pit, ladies? They
turned and blew him kisses from fang-filled mouths and winked at him with red orbs of eyes. In order to do this, of course, they bent over with their backs to the crowd, purposefully presenting to the clamouring audience 2 posteriors that would, reorganise the Buddhist monk's thoughts on life and things. As he skipped from stage, Noel went to the little festering pile of a demon and attempted to shake his handy thing, regretting it instantly. After doing so, he raised his dirty hand to the like sky and flames cleansed it of the goo.
Right, yuck. Right then, Graskel, you've been a sludge demon here for 14 centuries, correct?
he asked the demon.
Yes.
Replied many of the mouths.
What does being a sludge demon mean? I mean, what do you do?
He asked the bile.
I drowned its souls in schnitz.
He told Noel.
Ah, good. And, what do you do in your spare time?
The poop became confused and couldn't form an answer, then with a smile told Noel.
I drowned its souls in schnitz.
Noel could see that this was probably time to stop this naughtful conversation.
Oh, well, right, a round of applause for him. That. Whatever.
He told the crowd.
Now, if you slime your way over to the wheel, we're going to want you to spin it.
As the demon arrived on the raised dais, Debbie smiled, retched, and stepped to the opposite side of the wheel from him, trying to put as much distance between her and the horrible vomit-inducing creature. Noel got the audience clapping with the aid of his leather-clad vixens and shouted at Graskell.
Spin the wheel.
The little demon grabbed it with his one multi-elbowed arm and gave it a giant swing. It was good.
Spin, spin, spin the wheel of judgment. Watch that bastard go.
Started in the audience, who was taken up by all in studio repeatedly as the wheel clicked past all of the various categories. Eventually it wheeled slowed and started to clatter around to finally stop. It almost stopped on instant destruction, which wouldn't have been good for the demon, but it just click.
And the first category is number of selfless souls saved,
Said Noel to the cheering crowd.